Right on the sidewalk. Right on the sidewalk.
Did you see him get on the sidewalk?
Oh, he started from around here. He started from over there, and it's the first one. The first one started over there, and he just went on, and it was an older lady, man or something, and he just crumbled them, and then went down one after another.
Can you tell me about the victims that you saw? Who were they? How old were they?
Older people. I seen a stroller with a baby right about 2 blocks down.
And that's been widely reported throughout the afternoon, including from multiple newspapers in Toronto, that one of those struck was a woman pushing a stroller on the streets of Toronto. Just an incredible scene as we're waiting for authorities in Toronto and for a news conference in Antioch, Tennessee, outside of Nashville, as there is breaking news now on Fox News Channel. It's 3 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 2 p.m. in Toronto, noon on the West Coast, and we have two major breaking stories developing at this moment. You are looking live in Toronto, where someone driving a white van going down a major street in the northern part of the city has jumped a curb and run over multiple pedestrians, people in crosswalks and people on sidewalks. Reports are that this van traveled as far as a half mile, that's the early reporting from witnesses, not authorities, on sidewalks and running over a number of people. We know there are fatalities. We do not know how many. In Nashville, Tennessee, outside in Antioch, the man who is said to have shot and killed 4 people at a Waffle House restaurant is now in custody. We have a picture of that man being taken into custody in just about the last hour, and here he is. Authorities are planning for a news conference to begin in a matter of moments, and we'll have live reports on both of these stories. The extraordinary interview with a witness in Toronto is continuing. Let's listen through the facilities of CP24.
Yeah, they got hit. A bunch of people got hit. I'd say at least 40, 50 people. At least 40, 50 people. Oh my God, wow. I can't do this anymore, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Ali. That's Ali describing the scene. He says he was about 100 meters away from the van that started to hit people.
There you go. You're seeing that because that was a feed from Associated Press Television News, APTN, and they were feeding us that through the facilities of Reuters. As APTN was feeding that to us from a local station there. These are pictures of the scene in Toronto, and our Catherine Herridge, who is a Torontan herself, and has been watching us with this throughout the day. Catherine, as we wait for the authorities in Nashville, and we will go there immediately when that news conference begins, we're also waiting for firm information from police. And Catherine, what we're getting from local news sources and from witnesses is beyond disturbing.
Well, Shepard, just in the last few minutes, the Canadian media has now posted a photo of what they say is the white van that was responsible for mowing down those pedestrians. And you can see from the image that the white van is in fact a Ryder rental van, and that the front section of that van appears to be heavily damaged, as you just heard the witness describing, not only hitting people, but also the post office boxes that run on that section of Yonge Street. Yonge Street, for folks at home who've never been to Toronto, this is the major north-south artery that runs from Lake Ontario up through to the northern part of the city. In fact, it runs for dozens of miles, and as I remember, it is the longest, if not one of the longest, arteries that runs north-south in Canada proper. And the last thing I'll say is that there is video that's just been posted of the suspect being taken into custody, Shep.
Catherine, thank you. We'll continue to monitor breaking developments out of Toronto. Catherine, please stay with us. For the moment, I want to go to breaking news outside Nashville, Antioch, Tennessee, where authorities are convening now on what has become a rainy afternoon in Nashville to tell us about the capture of the suspect in the Waffle House murders.
Custody in a wooded area near here by members of the Police Department's Specialized Investigations Division's Narcotics Unit. From his apprehension, he was taken to the South Precinct, where he immediately requested a lawyer and refused to make a statement. Ryan King has been taken to General Hospital to be checked out, and then will be taken to the Nashville jail, where he will be booked on 4 counts of criminal homicide. Again, the apprehension team consisted of members from the Police Department's Specialized Investigations Division's Narcotics Unit. Almost all of those persons are undercover. Their supervisor is Lieutenant Carlos Lara. Lieutenant Lara was there at the apprehension scene. He'll describe to you what happened. After Lieutenant Laura speaks, we'll hear from Mayor David Briley and Chief Anderson, and then take your questions after everyone has spoken. Lieutenant Laura.
Good afternoon. I want to start off by saying great job by everyone, all the different units and agencies that assisted. So this all began today. We had our units, narcotics unit, was working, doing finding any or investigating any calls on suspected identification of this person. Dispatchers Megan Barr and Christy Simmons from ECC were contacting me directly, and our team was in charge of looking and investigating any of these sightings. During one of the calls, we had a call for at 5000 Mountain Springs Drive, and what the call was, there was a person who was matching the description of the suspect who was going through a construction site right behind the apartment complex and into the wooded area. Our detectives, all three of our units, the narcotics section, the narcotics unit, the interdiction unit, and the major case task force all responded to the scene. When they got to the scene, there were several workers from the TVA, construction workers on the TVA, that were pointing us, saying the person went through the woods. The detectives then all, as well as the sergeants, all went up to the wooded area and saw a pathway in the woods. They started to walk the path, and as they went through the wooded area, they spread out, and some went one direction, some went the other. As they're walking through the woods, one of our detectives, Kyle Williams, noticed a person, a suspect, in front of him. As he was walking forward, the suspect turned around, and Detective Williams saw his face and realized that is the suspect we were looking for. At that point, Detective Williams drew down on the suspect. The suspect proned out. He told him to get on the ground. He got on the ground immediately, proned himself out. Other detectives came and assisted, put him into custody, and put him in cuffs. At that point, detectives went and cut off. He had a backpack on. The description that we had received was a maroon shirt, dark jeans, and a backpack, which is exactly what he had on. He had a maroon shirt, dark jeans, and a backpack. Once he was in custody, the detectives went, cut off the backpack off of him because he was in cuffs. When they looked into the backpack, they saw a silver Kimber semi-automatic weapon with .45 caliber ammunition, a flashlight, and a holster on his person. During the search incident to arrest, they looked in his back pocket, and in his back pocket he had a wallet, and in that wallet he had a Colorado ID that had his information on there, and which is how we.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to say thanks to the community, to the citizens of Nashville. A tip from the community is what led to the arrest today, and their being vigilant was really an important part of what happened today. I'd like to thank the Metropolitan Police Department and Chief Anderson for all their work over the last 36 hours. They've been relentless in searching for the shooter, and the conditions have been quite bad for the last 36 hours, so it was tough work, and I want to thank them personally on behalf of all of the citizens of Nashville for everything that they did. Yesterday was a horrible day for the city of Nashville. It brought home a real tragedy to this community. Today is a day where we can start to move on as a community, I hope, but I hope everybody will share a commitment that I have to help the families who lost their loved ones and who are still suffering in the hospital right now. We're going to have to gather around them and help lift them up over the coming weeks. Obviously, a tragedy, put an end to part of it today, and we need to move on as a community and do what we can to curb this violence in the future.
Chief Steve Anderson.
Certainly this apprehension was the result of teamwork throughout the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department. Almost all of our components were involved. The SWAT team, K9 flight, on and on. We had the majority of our detectives out here in undercover cars. And certainly it's a teamwork effort in terms of our support from our federal and state partners. Department of Homeland Safety and Homeland Security had a team of state troopers out here. The FBI had an enormous amount of resources. They had actually started several teams from Washington to assist us in this search. the ATF, and the Secret Service likewise. And it's a community effort. This would not have been accomplished without the cooperation of the community, and it was the citizens' tip that led to this apprehension. And the businesses that have supported us bringing food out here to feed the officers who were out there in the rain, the cold, and the dark. So I applaud everybody that's been involved. And again, it was a team effort that made this possible.
Lieutenant, Mr. Gavin or Commissioner Perkey, Matt. Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Matt Espenshade from the FBI. Spell that.
Espenshade. I'd just like to thank all the entities involved for this. It was great teamwork and coming together. I'm glad we came to a quick resolution. I'd just like to thank the community as well, because there's a challenge that we still have in front of us, and that is to not forget the victims. We take very seriously our victim witness services, so those will really come into effect at this point, providing counseling services to those who were hurt and to the families who live on. So thank you for your time.
David Perkey, Commissioner of Safety and Homeland Security for the state of Tennessee. I was telling the chief just before we walked up here, justice is relentless when it involves the partnerships that we have on the federal, state, and local level, especially when it's working with the citizens. And as a former mayor myself for many years, I understand what it takes for justice to prevail, and you have seen that happen today. So congratulations to all of our partners. The Department of Safety and Homeland Security was glad to be one of those. But this is a good day. Thank you.
Special Agent in Charge from the ATF.
Good afternoon. Yesterday was a very tragic day in this community. Our law enforcement partners came together. We were determined to be relentless to bring this young man to justice. We worked very well together, and today is a day that we can begin to heal as a community. Thank you for your support.
Questions, please say who you want to ask the question of.
Mark Strassman, CBS News. Lieutenant Craig, grab me a second. Let's go back to the moment of capture if we can for a second. So, what was his demeanor? Did he have anything to say? Was he just arrest?
I wasn't actually not at the location. I was getting information relayed. There was a little bit of miscommunication at one point, but from what I understand, as soon as the detective saw him, there was really no communication other than, you know, the detective drawing down on him, and he got on the ground and proned out and was taken into custody.
Did not try to resist?
Not at all, not that I know, sir.
Did he make any statement, Lieutenant?
Not that I know, sir.
Did he show any remorse?
At this point, I wasn't there, so I can't say, but I have not received any news that, or any word that he made any statements at all.
That location's about 2 miles away from here, would you say? Do you have any idea how he spent the last 36 hours? Was it in those woods?
Again, a lot of that information is information I can't